That's a lawsuit that's about to get filed.
Oh, no. Okay.
Buyer beware, partner beware. That's also part of being an entrepreneur is you're going to make bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
All of the bad decisions I've ever made in business have turned out to be really good financially. I bet on myself, right? So you can do as much due diligence in the world, but nothing's guaranteed on an investment. It's all at risk.
Yeah.
So you have to have a hunch, you gotta like the product, right? And so if I don't have that feeling, no matter how good the technology is or how well I know the person, I'm just not gonna invest.
You've seen this amazing car in the podcast studio before, but today we are bringing in the owner of this car, Andrew Abrams, who's actually sitting right there. So today we're actually going to talk to Andrew about creating companies, being an entrepreneur, an investor, being a family man, and having to do all these amazing things. Let's get into it. All right, so the DNA, so you invested in that recently, and why was the reason that you got into DNA?
So strangely enough, all of my investments lately surround cars. So we're both members of Fast Lane Drive,
Right.
and a gentleman down in San Antonio who had just joined Fast Lane Drive. He's like, hey, there's this drive happening from Houston to the Golden Nugget and like Charles, Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, how do I get in on that? Like, I'm not a part of that car group down there, Team Savage. So he's like, well, connect with my guy, Dennis, meet him in San Antonio, and then you guys drive to Houston together. Dennis was an ambassador for DNA. So the company has ambassadors that you get an Amazon link and you give it out and your friends can buy the DNA product on Amazon.com at a discount. So then the following morning when we're doing the drive, we met up at Rafa Racing and everybody's getting decals put on their cars, kind of like our Tequila logo on my Targa there. And one guy had DNA on the side of his car. I'm like, okay, so this is kind of strange. There's like one guy here, this guy, and Justin, who had it on his car, he's like, yeah, I'm one of the investors in the company. I'm like, well, tell me a little bit about the drink and can I try one? So I tried it. I'm like, this is really good. And I'm looking at it and okay, one, it's zero sugar. I have type 2 diabetes. I'm like, is it gluten-free? We're not certified gluten-free, but we're gluten-free. Like, okay, well, my daughters have celiacs. And then you start looking at the health on it. It's 50 milligrams of sodium, low carbohydrates, no added sugars. Like we use a little bit of a stevia extract, but otherwise it's dried fruit. And this has Chromax and Mitoburn, which help you manage your metabolism and also your blood sugars. Right. So it's a healthy drink. And I'm like, oh my God, like I can drink this with my type 2 diabetes. My daughters can drink it with their celiacs. You just mentioned you like another product, sugar-free, but they have way higher sodium in it, like usually about 220 milligrams to our 50.
Wow.
And our caffeine is 120 milligrams in the performance drink of green bean coffee caffeine, where the two biggest competitors that people would know of, they're at 180 or 220 of caffeine. So, and I'm not a doctor, but with my daughters, I'm like, try this and see if you get the crash, right? Because if you take one of the other ones and you take it, you're going to get a crash afterwards. Mm-hmm. So these will just make you clear, give you energy, but you're not going to get a crash afterwards. Like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Let me try this and give it to my daughters and my wife. And if we can have one drink in our fridge that's not sodas and not all these other energy drinks, and it's healthier, that's awesome. And so then the collagen one is a protein drink as opposed to the performance one, which is a caffeine drink. We also have a line of healthy sodas coming out soon. So I tried the collagen drink. I'm like, well, this is great. Like everything now, collagen is big out there right now, especially amongst women, because your body stops producing collagen, I think around 30. Don't quote me on that. So anything you can consume with collagen is really good. And then again, this is sugar-free, gluten-free, basically kosher as well. I'm Jewish, right? So anything like our tequila is certified kosher. This isn't certified kosher, but all the ingredients come from kosher facilities, right? Okay. You have to go after the certifications and all that. So the collagen one, pink Himalayan sea salt for the sodium, right? 12 grams of collagen. We've got peptides and prebiotics, so that's all good for your gut health. So after I tried all this, I'm like, you guys still taking investors? And they're like, yeah, the CEO Mickey's gonna be down in San Antonio this coming week. Why don't you come down and meet him? And I told him my story. He's like, oh, we want you as an investor. And why is that? Do nothing average, right?
Right.
Do nothing average is a movement that started, I believe, in California by the co-founders before the product was ever even a product. It was kind of like what we're trying to do with 1925. It's a lifestyle. This is elevate your soul to 1925. This is do nothing average. So everybody that consumes it is trying to improve their life in some manner, whether it's health, whether it's weight loss, whether it's just you're doing podcasts all day long and you don't want to be drinking coffee all day.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing. Look, I have a cup of black coffee every morning, but then I have these in the afternoon.
Right.
So if I'm going to consume it, or I'm going to wear it, or I'm going to use it as a technology, and I wish I would have done it years ago with technology, I want to try to invest in it.
Right.
Because if I believe in it, I'm going to get my friends to use it. Right. That would be awesome to own part of that company in some manner. And also starting January 2nd, but it's already today, we just got into our first Costco order of 9 truckloads of our collagen product. And it was already in Costco yesterday. So getting into Costco is a huge milestone for a beverage brand.
Right.
So outside of this is a great product and can I invest in it? Like, if you go look at Coda Tower and you see kind of that angle, that upward trajectory, that's where our company's going.
Nice.
So those opportunities, when they come your way, you got to how are we going to do this? We got to get in,
Yeah.
and gamble on it.
That's interesting. So we've known each other for a few months now, and we're investors in different companies. We run in a lot of the same circles, and I didn't know a whole lot about your background, and I kept looking over, and you're investing in this, and and that's why I want to bring you on here, because number one, I wanted to talk more about what you did to get here, right? Because you're in your late 40s, late 40s. You've run multiple businesses, you've done multiple things. And when I think about people, when they think about success stories, it's getting to somewhere. And then once you've made it, going, okay, I'm bored now.
So where does the Energizer Bunny come from?
Yeah.
I've been hustling for 40 years. I started with a paper route when I was 13. I sold lawn and garden. I sold shoes. I sold clothing. And I got into high-end men's clothing while I was working, going to school for my undergrad. I went to University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. My undergrad was in accounting. And I did 6 years of accounting, which is kind of like a master's now. And then I went into a master's program, and I was going to work on a master's in tax. And I did all that because I knew that I wanted to go into business and be an entrepreneur. And if you're going to do that, you should at least understand accounting and business. My father was a doctor. He was a podiatrist. He was a great doctor. He wasn't a great businessman. So I learned kind of from his mistakes, though I've repeated a couple of them in business lately, unfortunately, that you really, if you're going to work for somebody else or build your own business or bring value to anything, you should at least understand the foundation of operationally, how do you run a business, from accounting to insurance and legal and all those kind of things. And so I worked retail all the way through undergrad and grad school. And my clients, when I was doing custom suits, were the CEOs of international corporations. So Manpower, Harley-Davidson, Johnson Controls, and so on. So when you're dealing with CEOs and you can sell to a CEO that's making millions of dollars a year and running billion-dollar corporations, basically you can sell anything, right? That kind of helped me formulate that I really want to run my own business, right? My schooling was in sales, right? My schooling was the foundation of accounting and technology. So a couple of my clients in retail owned their own businesses, and they were really young guys and knocked it out of the park in the business that they were in, and they owned a technology company called Profit Technologies, Prophet. And so they brought me in when I graduated with my master's to help them run and grow their technology company based on my sales background and personality, I guess, but also my business background. Most tech people don't have a personality. Most tech people don't have an accounting background. Most accounting people don't have a personality. Most accounting people don't have a tech background. And most salespeople have a personality, but they don't necessarily understand tech or accounting.
Right.
So I kind of bridged that gap and helped create like a boutique business around consulting on QuickBooks accounting and infrastructure. So in the IT business that I went into for them, everybody I went into, they needed help with their accounting and their QuickBooks. And like when I originally wanted to do accounting, I didn't want to do accounting. Part of my master's in tax before Al Gore created the internet and I switched over to MIS was really just kind of understanding tax law and the higher things in business law. When I was, working for them and ultimately working for my clients, I was like, why am I working for them? I could be building this myself and working for myself, working for these clients. And then through a rather strange, unfortunate events with two of the owners, that company didn't work out. So I had nothing else to do other than start my own business, right? And by the way, at that time, I had just gotten married to Kimberly months earlier. So this is in 2005.
20 years.
Yeah, well, yeah.
21 years.
21 years almost, yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
We've been together almost 23 years. We met in 2003. We had just gotten married in early 2005. She was pregnant. A week before she was giving birth to Alex, I'm like, I just quit my job and we're starting our own business because I have all of these customers and that other business wasn't really around anymore. So like we have kind of an instant business. So I'm betting on myself as an entrepreneur that I know what I'm doing. And even if I don't know what I'm doing, I can figure it out, but I can sell. You give me anything, I can sell it. Doesn't matter what it is. So I'm confident in that. And that's what an entrepreneur does. They're like a baby, right? They cry and they whine the most, but those are your successful people. So that's in a nutshell kind of my background. And ultimately from there, I became one of the top consultants for Intuit in their QuickBooks products, their point of sale, their payments, their enterprise software, and really built a big business with some partners, partnering and then unpartnering along the way. And it's part of what you learn in business is who do you partner with?
Yeah.
You can't always partner based on end game. You also got to be able to partner based on personality and beliefs and lifestyle. But through that, I was able to help build a very large consulting business. And we then specialized in, I was kind of like the technology side of the business, even though I knew the accounting, of can we help software better integrate with QuickBooks? And through all of that knowledge, we bought a mobile app development company. We ultimately built a software called Recur 360 as an app to automate at an enterprise level invoicing and payment processing for QuickBooks users. So most small businesses, they use QuickBooks, but some of them put out thousands of invoices a month. QuickBooks wasn't good for that. So it was kind of like, well, if we build it, will you pay for it?
Right.
And we knocked it out of the park as an app of my previous company. And then around COVID, I spun that, not getting into that story, I spun that into its own business. And a couple years later, I built that big enough where a payment processor came knocking and, hey, we want to buy your business because we like your book of business on payment processing, which was substantial. But also my infrastructure company was doing really well, EBITDA-wise and everything. So we had just gone through like a ransomware attack and all these bad things. And I'm like, are you guys still interested? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, let's get this deal done. So that was almost 3 years ago, back in 2023, that I sold that company. And I worked for them for about 20 months up until October of 24. And then I'm like, you know what? I've had it. Like I went from owning my own company to now I'm working for somebody else. And I'm working for people that are making decisions that I would have made other decisions, right? But because it's their company, not mine anymore, I really didn't have a say. I mean, I suppose I did because I was running it for them, what they bought, but really didn't have a say because they have shareholders, they got private equity or venture capital. Those people's say is far more important than what mine was.
Yeah, I see that a lot with people that end up getting involved with private equity firms. They end up staying on for whatever it is, however many months that they're contractually obligated, but then basically the PE kind of takes over and it's not always the best situation for everybody there.
It could have been a really good situation. They had to re-up for their next series, and the process of doing that, they changed out all their management and they stymied about 18 months of potential growth because they couldn't spend any money in my business that they acquired on growing it through sales, marketing, or what have you.
Right.
So I grew it organically the way that I'd always run things. But after about 20 months, I'm like, I think it's kind of time for me to move on. Like, I just don't see personal growth or business growth. What I originally saw in the beginning, I just saw that wasn't happening. So I retired from basically everything I had done my entire life a little over a year and 2 months ago. And one of the main reasons for that was I've got 4 daughters. My older daughter Lauren's in Israel. So she had moved to Israel last year in August, September timeframe. And my other daughter, Alexandra, was starting her freshman year down at University of Arizona. And my twins, Ava and Bella, who are now finishing their senior year here in Dripping Springs. By the way, we'd been living in Scottsdale for 10 years. And after we sold the company, I'm like, maybe we need to move to Texas where there's no income tax. But we also had family here. And Texas has been fabulous.
Yeah.
And that goes into how I've become an entrepreneur. But I wanted to be a dad. Like one day my daughter woke up and she's like, Dad, are you working today, golfing today, or traveling today? I go, well, it's all really the same thing, right? Between 8 and 6, whatever I do is business, right? Yeah. Business happens on the golf course. Business happens when you're traveling. Business happens when you're working. If I'm thinking about it in the shower, I'm billing a client, right? Mm-hmm. It just never shut off. And for the better part of 25 years, my brain never shut off on business.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just want to be a dad. I need to decompress from building a business, growing it, the ups and downs from the housing crash in 2008 to COVID in 2020, to a ransomware attack, to selling the business, to recovering from that and growing it. And I'm like, man, I've had it. Like, I can't think anymore of what to do. So last October till about June of this year, I was just kind of wandering the desert, so to speak, and didn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, we had a track day down here and met a couple people, and they invited me to this walking group, and met Cesar from 1925, and I go on a drive and I meet the DNA guys, and we have a deal flow app in our walking group, and I invest in an AI company, different AI company that you brought up earlier. But it's like, none of this was happening while I was living in Scottsdale and growing my businesses. Or if it was, my head was so deep in the sand in my own business or another business, I didn't see it, or I wasn't around the right groups. And that's really where Austin has been very cool, not only for family, but like everywhere we go, people are like, hey, I have this business. Okay, well, pitch it to me, right? Yeah. And everybody's genuinely like, that's a great idea. Right? I don't know if it's the right investment for me, but let me connect you to other guys.
Right.
And so me selling my business when I did back in 23, when the market was at a low, I saw, well, now's the time for us to take those proceeds, get it invested into the market, because I knew the market was just going to go up. Whether Trump got in office or Biden stayed in office didn't really matter. Just the trajectory was happening in the stock market because it was at a low at that point. Mm-hmm. So I was able to take the gains off of the proceeds for my company and use those gains to invest in 1925, in DNA, in my car condo, which is right across from yours. And within 60 to 90 days of pulling those gains out of the market, not touching my original principal, the market was still moving up and making those gains back. So that progress of investing properly with the right people in the right things has enabled me to then invest in other businesses from the growth of my business, getting it to the point where it is. Yeah. And now being able to offer that business and mentorship to startups, whether it's in tech or, because I was in retail so long, I was in the CPG space. I was never in beverages, but I still kind of understand. You're selling a product. Here's what it takes to market it. Here's what it takes to grow it. This is the kind of culture we need. Yeah. And so that's how I've been able to invest in businesses now since moving to Austin. And that's part of it as well. Like, it's just, you and I met because my neighbor, Ryan, was a friend of yours. Yeah. And Ryan's like, hey, come over, let's talk about this AI thing that I'm doing. And I meet you. And then one night I'm watching YouTube and I'm like, oh wait, I met that guy, and he's talking about car condos, and then I fall asleep, right? Like all those connecting the dots, the 7 degrees of separation, have enabled me to be why we're here today, and around all these products and companies that I've invested in. And that's really because of Austin and the people in Austin and the startup and the entrepreneurial and all that. It's timing, it's place, it's timing on where these companies are at. Are they taking investors? Is it too early to invest? Like, would we have invested in the tequila company 3 years ago when they were just starting?
Probably no.
Yeah, I mean, it just wouldn't have been the right time because it would have been a long haul to get to the next point, right?
So you said something earlier about a company that you're having issues with as an investment. I won't ask the question on that, but
it's neither of these, by the way.
Yeah, neither of these. But what is your, before I ask that question, what do you do to look at companies to see if they're worth investing? Like, what is your process?
So I've always bootstrapped. Nobody ever gave me any money, investment-wise. If I took a loan from a family member, I always paid it back as soon as I could, you know, wrote up a contract, terms and all that. So I've always been one of, why do you need the money? Like, what is it gonna fund? And is it something that if you were dying and bleeding, would you just figure it out on your own, right?
Yeah.
And are you asking for enough money? Like if you're only asking for $1 million, I think you're just asking for payroll, right? If you're asking for $5 million, well, you're funding something far bigger than people. You're funding marketing, you're funding product, you're funding expansion. So there are a lot of really good businesses out there that are startups, but like if you're asking for $1 million, that's not really a lot of money. I think you can bootstrap $1 million if you get scrappy with it. Mm-hmm. Friends and family versus trying to just do a raise because you have a really good idea and you think it's gonna grow. So I evaluate things on, you know, are you asking for enough money to sustain a growth over the next 2 to 3 years to get you to where you think you're gonna exit?
How do you know? Like if let's say I'm starting a business and I need $1 million, I know I need $1 million, but how do I know if that's not enough? Like, what are some of the metrics involved there?
Well, I think if you look at, and it depends what it is, product versus software, right? Software, you're just paying programmers, right? But you still got to market the business. So I think if you're only asking for that, and this is an arbitrary amount, but let's say it was 500,000. Like, okay, well, do you own any assets that you can leverage? Do you have any family members that you can leverage, right? And if they believe in you and you believe in yourself, you got to sell that, right? But if you're just trying to do a raise, right, and you're not going through that painful part of friends and family or mortgaging your life and betting on yourself, then one, I don't want to invest in you because you're just maybe trying to do the easy way, which I never was able to. Like SBA and banks wouldn't even loan to me, even though I had millions of dollars in revenue in my business, because we didn't have receivables and we didn't have inventory. We were cash flow.
Right.
You can't get loans on cash flow. There has to be an asset that bank loans or even SBA can attach to, whether it's building or inventory or receivables. So if you don't have that, you can't even get an SBA loan. Or you can't get an SBA loan if you don't have traction, right? So I've looked at a bunch of pitches and I'm like, I don't think you're asking for enough, because for whatever reason, you're just looking at like, well, this will give me a cash burn for the next year and a half. Well, I don't want to fund your cash burn, right? But when you come to me and say, in order for us to fulfill a shipment, we need this investment. And then once we do that, those shipments will start rolling and growing. And so you can see what that money's going to. So it's just a hunch, right? Because I bootstrap my consulting businesses. I consider it low and slow, right? We'll use our proceeds and reinvest in the company, and that's how we're going to grow it. If I get investment in a company, then that's got to be used to supercharge it fast, but not just build out the MVP, the base product, right? So I also don't want to invest in something where the bottle doesn't exist, the cans and the packaging don't exist, right? These things already exist.
Those are ideas, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's tangible, right? A lot of software, unless it's a very unique idea, isn't tangible. So it's got to be at a point where I think, based on my experience with software, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like it just needs the right, cultivation of getting it to the next level.
How do you feel about I'm opening up a daycare in Wisconsin or Minnesota?
So that's a whole nother thing. That's I'm a trustworthy, loyal, moral person. I just don't believe in the easy way of loopholes around taking government money, which is your and my tax dollars if we lived in Minnesota, to then not do what you're going to say you're going to do with it.
Right.
And that also happens in startups, right? They're taking the money to pay themselves to build their own software. That may not work out, right? And then you're out that money.
Yeah.
The problem with government back in COVID, back in 2008, 2009 timeframe, and probably to this day is they're just not monitoring where all our tax dollars are going.
Yeah, they don't have the infrastructure to monitor it. They built up, okay, here's the cash, and then what do we do with it? Like, and this is like the city of Austin. I get in a lot of trouble talking about the city of Austin, especially on my YouTube channel, but is a prime example. Austin figured out a way to tax hotels to raise money to take care of historical sites in Austin. This was 7 months ago. There was an article out. They had one place that they had purchased, but that was pre-raising $27 million. But they have no function of how to spend it. They don't even know how to spend it. They don't even have anybody in charge of like taking that money. Like, so there's nothing.
So is the money sitting there?
It was $27 million last I checked, which was like June of last year, just sitting there from hotels. And by the letter of the law, they can't just take it and put it towards something else because it's earmarked for that.
Because it's earmarked, right?
Right. And so that's a whole other story, but that's what.
So when you're investing in a startup, what is the money earmarked for?
Yeah.
Right. They can't guarantee it because startups have a different trajectory of, oh my God, this opportunity came our way. We need to fund this somehow. We can't pass on it.
Yeah.
So if you're in a position not only to invest, but also help advance your investment, it's like, okay, how do I figure out how to do this, right? So it's like with anything, like if I'm going to consume it, if I'm going to wear it or I'm going to use it, I'll invest in it.
Yeah.
So when I look at some of these technologies, software, AI or whatever, I'm like, well, I just wouldn't use that in my daily life. Not that somebody else wouldn't, but it's not mainstream enough.
Right.
Then I'm not going to invest in it. Unless it's like a cure for prostate cancer or something. Like, obviously that only affects men of a certain age, but if there's a cure for it and you can get in on that because it's a guaranteed cure, yeah, I get it, right?
I had a joke, Bryce, for you. I had a joke, sorry.
So, and by no means am I like the smartest investor in the world, but
Yeah, because you've had issues with an investment recently.
yeah, and that's a lawsuit that's about to get filed.
Oh no, okay.
Buyer beware, partner beware. That's also part of being an entrepreneur is you're going to make bad decisions. All of the bad decisions I've ever made in business have turned out to be really good financially. I don't think this one has that, but at the same time, I bet on myself, right? So I kind of blindly go into things in a way. You can do as much due diligence in the world, but nothing's guaranteed on an investment. It's all at risk.
Yeah.
So you have to have a hunch, you got to like the product, right? And so if I don't have that feeling, no matter how good the technology is or how well I know the person, I'm just not going to invest.
How do you get that feeling? Because I could tell you, when I joined our previous brokerage, I said, this is a no-brainer. And it's like, okay, I got to make the move. When I joined where we are now, same thing happened. Now I had a lot more to lose because going from that company to this company, because it was a lot more to lose. But I said, I know what the trajectory of this is going to be. I could see it, and I made that move. And it has been life-changing to make that move. So how do you go, okay, this is worth moving on, and this is not worth moving on? When do you put the rudder down and maybe drag your feet a little bit instead of making that call?
I equate it to similar thing in life. So you and Eileen, your first marriages,
Yeah. Well, hopefully only marriages.
Okay, but
yes.
so I was married early in my 20s. And after like 2 years, my ex-wife's like, hey, I want a divorce. Couldn't have children. So there was a huge weight on our shoulders and we were young. And that was a big thing to her. Like, well, if I'm not going to have kids, then I don't want to be married. Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough.
And once I processed that and went through that, like all of a sudden, like all this clarity and all this weight, like somebody's flushing all the anger and the pain away, right? It allows you to see that, you know, she was right? This wasn't a good marriage. It wasn't a bad marriage, but it wasn't a good marriage. And in business, if you have partners or people that you work with, there are not great working relationships. You aren't on the same page. You don't have the same vision. You don't have the same plans on where we want to be in 5 or 10 years. If you can even see that far out, let's take 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to, again, bet on yourself and go, you know what? I'm putting a lot of effort in and all it's causing me is stress. I'm not healthy. I don't feel good. I'm in physical pain. I have a story on that. So you just kind of know, right? So I've had back pain my entire life, chronic back pain. I had back surgery back in 2022. And I've been recovering from that degenerative discs my entire life. And I realized part of my pain was me grinding in business for the last 40 years, where I never really took time to mentally or physically enjoy life, right? And when I retired last year, so to speak, I'd go to the gym and like all my joints and everything, like why do I have all this pain, right? And it was stress. Stress from trying to provide for my family, stress of what decisions do I make in business, stress of why do I have all these people working underneath me that cause me so much stress? Why do I have these partners that cause me so much stress? And you know, you're grinding, you're just trying to get another leg up. But once I left the business last year and come June of this year, like I woke up, I'm like, I'm not in any pain. Like I'm not doing anything differently. Well, I am. I started drinking this stuff.
Yeah. Well, this stuff will help reduce pain too. Inflammation, right?
Inflammation, right? I had no headache in the morning.
Yeah.
But when I woke up and I had no stress, I had no pain, I had this clarity of, oh, now I can like bring value to things because I'm good now. Like I wake up every day, I'm like, oh, I'm not in any pain. Like some days are painful. That's just part of getting old and whatnot. So you kind of know in business, whether you figure it out or your wife tells you, like Kimberly and I have been together 22 years, married 20 years. Our daughter Alexandra just turned 20 yesterday. So don't try to do the math on that, but that was in the same year. That stress, you figure out like, how do I get out of this and find a better thing? And well, what's going to be the worst case? You're just going to fall back into the same kind of stress, right? But hopefully you're going to do it better the second time and be in a better position. And you have to gamble on yourself and bet on yourself. And if you don't, then you're middle management and, you know, you're eating junk food at your desk all day long.
Oh yeah, the food part, that's, you know, it's interesting is after COVID or during COVID, I gained a really bad problem of just drinking constantly, right?
Alcohol or just beverages?
Alcohol,
Soda.
yeah. So
did everybody, by the way.
Yeah, everybody, right? And so that was the thing, is like I'm at home, what better thing to do than eat Tex-Mex and drink margaritas, right? And so I was thinking about this today.
In Arizona, they delivered them to you.
Well, so the coolest thing that happened out of that was that you could buy alcohol and then transport it home. And that was also a very bad thing for me because then I was just picking up alcohol and bringing it straight home. But yeah, I mean, it took until I think last year where I finally was like, I'm tired of feeling gross. I'm tired of feeling not all the energy that I want. And when I'm just lethargic all the time. And I changed all my eating habits. I went gluten-free for the most part, like just by choice. sugar-free for the most part by choice. Alcohol, I actually stopped drinking for like 120 something days. And now I don't drink as much as I used to, but I had to make some changes in my life to figure out like what was going to make me happy. And then earlier this year, I finally was like, okay, I've changed the eating habits. I've changed the diet. I've lost a ton of weight. I feel much better, but I don't feel better. What is it that I have to change? And that's where I stepped out of production since July. So I look at like what you went through and having that constant stress as a business owner, and then taking a few months and going, oh, I don't have this stress. And literally, like, it's funny, you're saying you woke up and you're like, oh, I don't have all this. Like last week, I'm like, oh, I don't have to stress about it, because like in my mind, I'm still like,
Takes a while to get it out.
Yeah.
The PTSD.
The PTSD from everything. I'm like, I'm seeing all my friends like sell all these homes and do all this work. And I'm like, oh, I got to be doing that. It's just the process of having to, being an entrepreneur and being like you eat what you kill. Like, I gotta go kill. And I'm at that point, luckily, I don't have to go kill as much. But this put me in this weird situation where I'm like, oh, like I need to go create.
Yeah.
Because the not creating is not good for me. And so
not working on a daily basis is a problem.
Is a problem. And that's, I've changed that. I work out almost every day. I mean, pretty much every day. I drink not every day.
So I've been pre-diabetic my entire life, just genetics. And COVID, you're just eating and drinking. You're out on the, we had a pony wall in Arizona between myself and my neighbor. And so we would just sit on each side of the pony wall, just drinking bourbon, right?
That's the drink that gets me.
Yeah. He lived near me in Cave Creek, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Garrison Brothers. When I had this back explosion, like every 10 years when you have a bad back, you're going to have like this huge pop or explosion where they can medicate you with, codeine and all the other stuff, right? That didn't do anything. I'm like, oh my God, this is really bad. Like I have no use of my leg. I've got nerve damage. I've got all this stuff. And I go in and they're like, okay, well, we can do surgery on you, but your A1C is at 7.5. Like you are way in the diabetic range. Now, I mean, there are some people that are way higher than that, but you got to be below 5.9, right, to be pre-diabetic, and low fives, you're really not diabetic.
You were diabetic.
So I'm full diabetic. They're like, we can't do surgery on you because you're not going to heal. And if we're cutting open your back and we're doing bone and nerve stuff, like we're not going to do surgery on you if we know you're not going to heal. It's just kind of like you can't drink alcohol or smoke if you're going to go have surgery. Yeah. Mine was diabetes. So they're like, we have to get that under control. And once we put you on the regimen, I'm just on metformin, which just helps your body utilize the insulin it creates. That also is just like all the weight loss drugs, you start losing weight at the same time as an appetite suppressant, I guess. So going through that, like I wouldn't have found out I was diabetic unless other things started showing, which they weren't. Because I wasn't overweight. I was maybe 180 pounds, which isn't overweight for me, but they're like, yeah, you're overweight. I'm like, I don't know where I can lose it, right? So I'm pre-diabetic, right? Chronic pain, stress, all these things, eating poorly and all that. So after I had my surgery, in the last couple of years, I've just been doing PT and recovering, and that's when I had the chronic pain. And one time I'm like, well, maybe it's alcohol, right? Because the doctor told me to drink red wine. So I was drinking red wine every night. When I was getting all bloated, I'm now allergic to red wine. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to do dry January and see if I feel any better. I'm like, oh, I don't feel a world of difference. I still wake up and I feel the exact same way, whether I drink or not. I wasn't a drunk, or an alcoholic, but alcohol wasn't causing that, right? Everything in moderation. Yeah. So now, again, the clarity happened in June this year. DNA as a drink, as opposed to sodas or stuff with sugar in it, which I can't drink anyway or whatnot, has actually, like when I look at pictures of myself in the gym, I got shredded like really quick. And the only change was no more stress, right? Eating healthy, drinking a healthy product, what you put in your body, right? But also kind of happier in general with where my kids were. Like my kids are like, we've never seen you so happy. Like what changed? I'm like, don't run your own business.
Yeah.
Don't partner with people that aren't on the same page as you. Don't get involved in businesses you don't believe in. Don't get involved in relationships don't put products in your body that you don't believe in. And then all that stuff just kind of flows, right? You know, and you just get into a better place. And again, we go back to that feeling of, is this a good investment or not? Is this a good business decision? Should I have bought that car? Should I have bought that car without telling my wife I bought that car?
I know you're not pointing at that one, right?
Yeah, my wife was watching on the ring cam. She's like, whose red Porsche just backed out of the garage? And we still had a house in Arizona at the time. This was earlier this year in January of 24 or of 25. I'm like, oh yeah, I just got that. She's like, were you going to tell me about it? I'm like, well, you know about it. It's on the ring cam. So okay, that's not the greatest thing I could have done, but I researched this stuff, and then I went and bought it, and it's unique. So like the cars I've bought are kind of my poster cars of when I was in college. This was one of my poster cars. A couple others were my poster cars. They're older cars, air-cooled, gated, and naturally aspirated, which is my Instagram. Hashtag. But I wouldn't call them investments, but they depreciated and they're back up in value, and they're great cars to own, with the exception of the Murcielago. But that's another story. So you just, is that the right decision? I'm going to bet that it is, right? Because if you look at your podcast on you buying your Lamborghini, like you put a lot of diligence and research into it, and we were going to shoot you every day.
Yeah, I know. I felt so bad.
We're like, just buy the car already. If you don't like it, just trade it in. Get another one. Like, you're not married to the car. It's just a car.
Yeah.
Businesses you're kind of married to. Like when you put the money in, like you got to focus on getting it out, right?
Yeah.
But back to like a partnership thing, like when I first partnered with 4 other partners back in like 2007, 5 people can't steer a ship.
Oh God, that's a lot of people steering.
And each of us were CEOs of our own company. And they're like, well, you can't be CEO. Like, okay, I'm fine with one of you being CEO, right? But what do you want me to be other than Chief Technology Officer? And they're like, you need to be Chief Visionary Officer. I'm like, that's not even a title.
CVO, I like that.
CVO, right? But this is, almost 20 years ago. There's no such thing as CVO, right? That's a horrible title. But in actuality, they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Was I have this vision of where I think we're going to go as a company, or where I can go personally in business. I have a vision of where these brands are going to go. I have a vision of where technology is going to go. So I have that feeling of, now when people ask me, I'm like, oh, I'm a Chief Visionary Officer.
I like that.
That's more mainstream now because, I'm not going to compare myself to Elon Musk, but he has a vision, right?
Oh God, yeah, that guy's got lots of visions.
And he's executing on all of his visions.
Yeah.
And people look at his companies and they don't truly know what he's doing in his vision of what's to come, right?
You gotta be careful with the title Chief Visionary Officer, though, because people don't like other people's visions.
There's that also.
Don't like Elon for all of his grandeur. Is that the right word?
And I wouldn't say I had grandeur, but my wife tells me I don't have the warm fuzzies, but then everybody's like, hey, your husband's awesome. I'm like, she's like, I don't get it. I'm like, I guess I'm different in business.
Yeah.
Like you learn how to carry yourself in business without snapping at people or barking at people or insulting people. You bite your tongue, and sometimes that bites you back, which it has.
That's my hardest part, is not biting my tongue.
Or not saying no.
Yeah, not saying no is definitely my biggest problem.
We were in a meeting, you were in that meeting,
Yeah.
and somebody brought up a competitor, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like we're not even discussing that.
Yeah.
If you want to discuss that, then maybe that's not a good partnership.
Yeah.
That partnership isn't solidified yet. But now I just like, no, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to be involved if that's happening.
Well, let's speak about other partners. So you've been married 20 years.
Yes.
Not very many CVOs, CEOs can say they've been married 20 years. Obviously, you were married before, but those were different circumstances. So 20 years, how the heck do you stay married 20 years as a entrepreneur? Because I can tell you, as somebody who owns a business with my wife, it ain't easy.
So Kimberly, her career is our 4 daughters. So the focus was you manage and be the CEO of the family, and I'll grow the business, right? And then, it's yin and yang, right?
Yeah.
We're not working together day in and day out in real estate or in tech or in whatever, which I see a lot of relationships where that can work just fine and does. But in ours was just opposites attract, right? But when I met Kimberly, her daughter Lauren was 6.5. And coming out of a divorce and kind of searching for the next thing, I was like, okay, you basically took care of yourself and your daughter, and you bought your father invested your money properly for you, but you didn't take anything from anybody. That got you a condo. You sold that condo, took the proceeds, and then she moved to Milwaukee and bought a house. And then she and I met on J-Date, kind of all that, again, timing, right?
Right.
I was in the process of getting a divorce. And so like, I just looked at all the things that she did to get herself where she was. She took it upon herself. She didn't take money from her parents. She actually lived in low-income housing. When you'd look at her and say, wait, your father manages money for a living, and why wouldn't you just go live at home? And she's like, well, I don't want to live under his rules or my parents' rules or have their decisions drive my decisions, right? And so I looked at that. I'm like, okay, so she's a beautiful woman. She's got a great kid. But she and I think the same way, just hers was more familial, mine was more business.
Right.
I don't want to owe anybody anything. She didn't want to. So I thought, okay, we think the same way. And we do. Like, we can finish each other's sentences. And that's not to say marriages don't have their ups and downs. And, you wake up some days just because you don't believe in yourself, and then that kind of brings it down. But then you get the wins, and that brings everything up. So I think we're able to feed on each other's, failures and successes. Because obviously when you have a child, let alone 4 children, let alone 4 daughters, it's always chaos.
One thing that's interesting that I've, as somebody who's an entrepreneur that has to kill what they eat, right? I always find, and I could maybe just my own experience, this is why I'm asking a question, like there's times where life is happening, the world's happening, things aren't working right at the business, second guessing some of the decisions you made, and then you have a family who all depends on you, right? Especially in your situation, right? So you have the wife who's dependent on you killing and bringing home, right? You have 4 daughters who are depending on. What's the stress of all of that? Does that sit on your shoulders as part of the stress, or?
It's more stressful when your children have medical issues, personal issues, when people don't treat them well, because unfortunately, there's absentee parents out there that don't treat their children how to be good people.
Yeah.
So my wife, managing the family, has done an excellent job raising our daughters. Not that I haven't been involved, but we were at a party the other day, and one of the moms is like, who had texted us a couple days earlier, like, your daughter is my favorite babysitter ever. Like, everything she did, taking care of our kids, like, you've raised your kids properly. Any Abrams can come babysit our kids. Right?
Nice.
So I'm like, I guess you or we, because it's a family, right? We raised our kids properly. But when I look at other kids mistreating them, be it female, male, in cheer, in school, be it racism, we're Jewish, so there's a lot of anti-Semitism out there that just doesn't need to exist.
Right.
Like, you look at how your children come home, and that puts stress on you, because I work hard, I provide a great life, we have a beautiful home, we have a wonderful family, we have cars, we have things, right? We don't need all those things, we can afford those things. And people still bag on your kids.
Yeah.
So they bag on them when they're down, they bag on them when they're up. And that's just the society. Like, I don't want us to be a part of that society. Yeah. So that stress puts a huge stress on you. And then you're like, And now I'm dealing with all this stress with a customer and business, and you adapt. Like you bet on yourself because no one else is going to fix it for you.
Yeah.
And so I don't know whether you compartmentalize, you just do it. Like you don't sleep, how do I fix all this? What can I do? As long as I know I'm doing right with my kids and I'm doing right with my business, like I have this view of everything's going to work out in the end. Even a bad business deal can work out well in the end. You might not see that for a couple of years, but it's also a learning experience, and you learn from those things. And hopefully my kids learn from those things and they can defend themselves and not have to go through the same stresses in life. And my dad was a doctor, right? So I was a country club kid, but we weren't wealthy, right? My dad was 48 when I was born. So,
Oh, wow.
So my entire life, he was pretty much kind of semi-retired, and he retired at 75. You just kind of learn, I don't want to fall into that. I don't want to go through that. I don't want my kids to go through some of the things that I've gone through, in their lives, seeing like me building a business and bad relationships in business. But at the other point, I'm like, shit, they need to learn all that. Otherwise they're not going to have the drive.
Yeah.
And they're not going to know when they're in a bad situation, whether it's a bad relationship or a bad business, or just at a bad situation, maybe out at a restaurant, or when they're able to drink at a bar and something's just not right.
Yeah.
That intuition, right? That is based on your life experiences.
Yeah, that's tough. I saw this video. I sent it to my wife today, actually this morning. It was a group of people talking in podcast, and they were talking about how men treat young boys and how their wives treat young boys. When a boy has an issue or their child has an issue, most men are like, knock it off. Stop doing that. Or there's just a very gruff response. Whereas the mom will like reach down, it's okay, and very nurturing. And they were saying like how the actual nurturing is not the best for that person for growing up. And if you think about—
Depends on the kid.
It depends on the kid for sure. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things that are too far, right? There's too far in that where you're beating your kid or whatever, which is definitely not right. But
we had the fear of the belt back in the day.
I know. I mean, I did. If I didn't have the fear of the
nowadays,
yeah,
you pull a belt out on your kid, and
the next
National Guard's
three
coming
doors
in.
down's calling cops on you. Yeah, it's just interesting the perspective, because I feel like sometimes like, okay, yes, I'm a little too gruff here, but I think about some of the stuff like my dad did. I'm like, well, was I too gruff?
I had older parents, so
yeah, I think that was my question.
There was no gentle parenting.
Yeah.
My parents ultimately didn't have a great relationship due to financial stress. My dad made some bad business investments, and that put them in a bad position. And this was in the second half of his life, right? That he was having kids and, thought he was in a good place and made these investments. And now I look back, I'm like, I just kind of made a bad business decision in one of my businesses. And you forget about that, right? But you have to go through and see that. So my parents parented me like I was an adult. That gave me an adult mind frame. If you fall down, like, I'm not going to help you get back up. Get yourself back up. Because if you don't get yourself back up, you can't trust other people are going to do it.
Yeah.
In my house, I'm like, hey, can you go take out the garbage? Ask one of my daughters. She'll go ask one of the other daughters. I'm like, no, I asked you to do it. Well, I did it last time.
This is delegation.
I asked you to do it. You go do it.
Yeah.
If I wanted her to do it, I would go do it. Well, I'm always doing it. I go, I asked you to do it. Go do it. Right? I didn't ask you to push the buck. I go, you're not a CEO where you can delegate.
Yeah.
You're now taking longer to do it. I'm just going to go do it myself.
That's my biggest problem with people that work for me is sometimes I say, oh, I'll just go do it myself.
And so that's one of the things I learned in business was in the businesses that I started, and I can't do it in the beverage business, but in the technology businesses I've been in, I can do each one of the jobs, right? I don't need you. I need you to enable me to run the company and go grow it.
Yeah.
But you can't hold me hostage. Like, I can do your job. It will detract me from doing my job, but I can do your job, right? in parenthood, you need a spouse, right? Or
Yeah.
I don't know how single parents do it, to be honest with you. Yeah.
No clue.
And so like I'm trying to teach my kids, I'm like, do things for yourself. Don't ask other people to do things for you. If you're capable of doing it yourself, just do it yourself and move on. If it's something overwhelming where you need somebody's help, like hanging a TV, yeah, ask somebody to help you, right? But don't ask somebody to do something for you. Don't ask for $1 million investment when you can do it yourself, when you can bootstrap your own business, when you can do your laundry, take out the trash, like do all these things, fix your own car. I watch a lot of car YouTube videos, Amelia Hartford, Matt Armstrong, like.
I love Matt Armstrong.
Yeah, well, look at where he started to where he is today, right? Those are the kind of people like I'm trying to teach my kids to be, right? If you can do it yourself, do it yourself. Just don't ask other people. At a certain point, the reason you ask other people is because you trust them. You will lose trust in those people if they then ask somebody else to do it for them, right? And so that's what you try to teach your kids, I think. And your employees. Like if I delegate something to an employee, I want them to do it. Or I would have asked another employee to do it.
I haven't had a ton of employees. I've had quite a few, but definitely not managed big companies like you. What's some of the pain points in having employees, and what are some of the like situations where you've had to?
In a small business, and by small, like at the height of my partnership, I think we had about 70 employees.
Okay.
When I was still involved with it. And you're very much their boss, their psychiatrist, psychologist, their friend, right? You have to motivate them business-wise. A lot of times you got to motivate them personally because they're sluggish for various reasons.
Too bad you didn't have any DNA back then.
Yeah, you got to motivate them to all get along. You got to motivate them like, this is what I pay you for, just do your job, stay in your lane. Well, this person's not doing that. I'll go, well, they're not getting paid the same way you are.
Yeah.
So you're not all equals. You're in roles for specific reasons. Even if you're getting paid the same thing, you're in a different role, right? So worry about your role. Don't worry about what the other person's doing.
Yeah.
So trying to get all of your kids to clean the house and clean their rooms and all that is kind of the same thing with employees of, you're really good at this, just focus on that and do that. Well, I want to do more. Well, once you've done what you're hired for, if you're then bringing value, then I'm going to see that. But I can't give you value to bring, right? I'm not going to pay you more for doing your job if you're not bringing value. So it's really tough to deal with employees all day long and then come home to your family and your kids and you're like parenting your staff. And that's one of the things I got on burnout was just the constant, people get stuck in a rut, but that's the job that you're in. If you don't like your job, go do something else.
So I was stuck in middle management. I launched a product for Costco, right? And they didn't know how to even sell this product. And I figured out how to sell this product and we were crushing it. And they were like, oh, well, you need to be at a 40% conversion rate. I go, I respect your 40%. And this is where the entrepreneur in me was the piece that was like, I have to go do something different. I looked at it and I said, well, I understand you want a 40% conversion rate. That's a very lofty goal. Let's start with the fact that no one has come close to our sales numbers, like by a long shot. We're talking about like an add-on product, right? And this add-on product, we were closing probably about 28%, which was every month was bringing in $80,000 extra per month. And the next closest, we were talking like 20,000. So we were crushing it, but we weren't at 40% conversion rate. And so I'm sitting there going, why is it so important to have this 40% conversion rate? And no one will look at the fact that we've increased our sales and the bottom line of this business is actually higher. 40%, let's change it to 30% and get the rest of those people, and I'll help you get those people to the extra 30%. Oh yeah, by the way, are you gonna pay me extra for this? And it was like, no. What do you mean no? I'm making you a ton of money. Like, where's my extra? No, this is Costco. I was like, okay, I have to go to where I can manage and be the ship sailing in the right direction, right? Because I mean, I'm sure you've put some goals on yourself and you get to that end of that cycle and you're like, oh, we didn't hit that goal. But if you turn around and look like, oh, wow, we crushed it.
So goals are interesting. When I was young, like in high school, I'm like, well, I'm going to go into accounting so I understand business, right? And I've told this to my daughters. I'm like, you have until 30 to be in your career path. Live your life in your 20s, travel, try different jobs. I've got, in one of my daughters, she's like, I don't know what I want to do. I go, well, you're in your 20s. Do as many things as you can do.
Yeah.
If you don't like the job, guess what? You can quit. You don't own the place.
Yeah.
So if you don't like the retailer or the restaurant or bar, quit, go to the next one. All of those different jobs that you will work will formulate where you want to be or what career you want to be in. So I had a view of I'll be on my career path by 30 and hopefully own my own business, which pretty much I did. I figured I'd also be married in my early 30s and start having kids, which I did. I wanted to be out of debt by 40. So I had school debt. Nobody paid for my school. And my parents helped, but I took out loans to pay for undergrad and grad school. I was in debt till I was 40. Because my businesses were going well enough at that point that I could now pay off my school debt instead of doing deferments and forbearances and all that. That was the first major obstacles. Thank you, Biden, for relieving everybody else's debt. I'd like that retroactive, please.
Yeah, please.
But then my other goal is I want to be retired by 50. I sold my business in the year after I'd already turned 50. Right? I was born in 72, so I turned 50 in October of 2022, and I sold the business in 23. So I was 50. I'm like, I willed all those things to happen. Like they were maybe lofty goals, but I bet on myself and they happened, right? So yeah, when you're talking about numbers in business, EBITDA percentages, like all these other things, there's things you just can't control, right? But one thing with employees is like you get paid to do what I pay you to do. If you bring in some other idea that creates another 20%, that is not what I've hired you to do, right? Yeah, you're going to get compensated for that, but you're not going to get compensated more just for doing your job and hitting the numbers.
Yeah.
And because we back numbers down so that they're achievable, that is what it is, right? Add value, bring something new, and then you'll get paid more.
Yeah, 100%.
Sell another house.
Yeah. So do nothing average.
Do nothing average. So when I came in investing in this company a couple months ago, they're working on this Costco order, right? That they developed internally. Their internal resources worked the Costco angle. You know, what the product needed to look like. We have a 12-pack at Costco. The products went into production in basically the beginning of December. And 9 truckloads got picked up in the last week. And yesterday, we're in Region 1 of Costco. So that's basically San Diego, Southern California, Arizona. That's all part of Region 1. We're a company that has our beverages at Costco. That is a huge accomplishment for essentially a startup. Our products came out earlier this year. They've been in development for a while. Yeah. But they came to market March, April, May of this year, and we're already in Costco. So hopefully that continues. Because for a startup, that's huge. Our product is great, but that just doesn't happen. Like it's very hard to get product into Costco or into Target or other things. So you have to have the right people to get you there. So everybody, please go to your Costco if you're in Region 1 and buy a 12-pack of our collagen.
Or go online to 1925 Tequila and buy a bottle of tequila. We talked about it earlier, and I hate circling back to things, but about living in Austin, right? Like, here's the crazy thing is you and I both kind of had that same
I'm the reason you're in this, I think.
You are the reason I'm in this because I had met Cesar at one of the car events, and that's like, it's amazing to me, a Porsche 911 4S, not this car, put me in a group of people that I wasn't necessarily around, that were like-minded, that like cars, and then that put me into now this car, which is a totally different group of animals. But to my point, is that what I love about what you do is you connect people. And we had met, but we had a cigar meetup, right? And it was a bunch of guys. You say, hey, this guy that I had met kind of offhand, Cesar, he's gonna bring some tequila for us to try. And we're sitting there and you had brought up like an investment into this. And I was like, whoa, I love the Blanco. Reposado's fantastic. And the añejo, I'm a bourbon guy, and I could drink the añejo like water, which is not a good thing for me. But what I want to give you props on is that I'm in this because of you, partly, right? The opportunity arose because of you. Some of the stuff that's happened in my life recently is because of you. I don't think you really fully understand that. But I just want to say one of the things I admire most about you is that you don't sit still in the Energizer Bunny thing, but you're constantly introducing people to other people and connecting to people as a true entrepreneur should do without asking for anything in return. I think that's a huge, I think that's just really huge for somebody to do.
I'm feeding off of the people that I've met here. So on Warbeck, you're the reason we're in this mess. You've cost us a lot of money this year on Warbeck. So the friends and family event at T11, when I hadn't bought the condo yet, but you invited me, Brad Epstein, who runs T11, invited me. And then and Jan was there. He had never been on track before. So I'm not quite sure. Maybe he was looking at condos and that's the reason he was there. And then our friend Matt Holm, who runs this walking group that we're all a part of, which is probably up to 200 people that go walking at 8, not all 200 people, but 200 people are members of it. They go walking at 8 a.m. every morning around downtown Austin, around the lakes and whatnot. And Warbeck showed up and he's like, oh, I got to add you to this walking group, right? I didn't know him at all. We both joined Fastlane Drive. Fastlane Drive had a track event one night and a bunch of people were staying downtown. And so I'm like, oh, where are we going? They're like, we're going to the Proper. I get down to the Proper. I'd never been there before. I'm still kind of new to Austin, even though I've been here a year. I call my wife, I'm like, I'm not coming home tonight. I'm staying downtown because I just got off the track and I'm going out and I'm going drinking and I'm not driving home. So I'm just making the executive decision, I'm staying downtown. So we go out, we go to the powder room, come back, and Warbeck comes in and from behind just gives me this huge bear hug. I'm like, and it's on Warbeck. He's like, hey, Andrew, how you doing? I'm like, dude, this guy's got all the energy in the world. You call me the Energizer
Yeah, well, I
Bunny.
know, yeah.
I don't know where the guy sleeps, but he's like, hey, you got to meet Caesar. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. Caesar owns a tequila company or started a tequila company. I'm like, so in my mind, I'm thinking Entourage, Avion, you know, Vince and Eric and Turtle and whatnot. So I'm like, oh, tell me a little bit more about your tequila company. And this goes back to investing in brands. He's like, well, the 3 grandchildren of Julio Gonzalez. Do you know who Julio Gonzalez is without naming who he is? I'm like, yeah, I do. I know enough about tequila. I wasn't huge in tequilas because like you, I like bourbons. He's like, well, we started Leyenda 1925 tequila. A couple of years ago, we brought it to market this year. It's the 100th anniversary of basically our grandfather. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool story. Like, you guys are the celebrity. Like, the wheels are turning like, oh, you're not paying like celebrities out there that put their names on tequilas. Your family's been doing this forever. You're the celebrity. You obviously know what you guys are doing. If you're bringing a new product, there must be a reason for that. And there's a whole other stuff going on in the tequila industry. We're not going to bring that up.
You're talking about like the fake stuff put in tequilas?
Again, I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to name names or do things. But the bringing back what tequila used to be, which was an artisanal product that you sipped or put in a champagne flute, and you treated like an elevated product, that reasoned with me. Like, I appreciate that most people pop champagne when they win something. Well, or get a Rolex, crown for every achievement. That's what this kind of tequila represents. It's elevate your soul, right? It brings people together. It's not shooting tequila. It's not margarita tequila. It's not getting drunk at frat party tequila. It's every time we pull out this bottle, everybody's like, oh, that's a cool bottle. I'm like, no, you got to try this. Oh, that tastes really good. They wake up in the morning, wait, I don't have a headache, right? So it brings people together. It's a really good product, again, if I'm going to consume it. So anyway, we're like, hey, we're going to do a cigar night. And I'm like, we need some tequila there. And so I called Cesar. I'm like, look, you got to come to this thing because I think, I'm looking at investing. I think other people there are also probably potential investors, right? And it's just putting those connections together. I wouldn't have done that if it was not a good technology, not a good tequila, not a good beverage company. One of our other partners is partners in both. You're partners in this, and then in another company with some of our other partners. So it's like, we all kind of see eye to eye. We're not all going to invest in the same things. Like, that's just not going to happen. We're not all going to drive the same cars. We're all driving sports cars. But
Hey, we both have Lambos though. Yours doesn't work as well as mine, apparently.
Different era.
Different era.
Grandpa, I'm only bringing people together because I believe in the product.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the people. And we are all bettering each other. And I see other people doing that in Austin that have invited me to other networking events and pitch decks. And I'm like, you guys are like, I don't know what you're drinking. Like, everybody's like so happy. Tequila and DNA. Yeah. But I've met such incredible people that have started huge businesses that I start bringing my kids to me with these investment dinners. Yeah. Because that's an education for them to see, like, look at what these people achieved, bootstrapping, starting a business on their own, and then introducing all their friends to all these other business opportunities. It may not be the right business opportunity for you, but you learn. You learn and you meet people, and you never know when that might come back around. So I appreciate you giving me kind of those accolades of what you see me doing. Yeah. I guess I'm paying it forward. I see somebody else doing it, and I enjoy it. Yeah. So if I can introduce and connect people, great, you know.
Have you always been like that though?
I feed off of people. I'm an introvert. I won't walk into a room and talk to people.
Yeah, I won't either.
But I will walk into a room, and the minute somebody starts talking to me, I am engaged in having a conversation. Yeah. So now I will walk in and I'll just pick one person, and that's who I'm going to have a conversation with. Yeah. And when that conversation dies, I'm here. I'm just going to go talk to another person, because that's how you meet people. Yeah. And you have to come out of your shell. But I was so buried in accounting and IT and focus. But anytime I got to conferences and got to meet people, like, I was alive, right? My family never saw that because they never went to conferences with me. But at conferences, I talk to everybody. I'll get up and talk in front of a room. But if I walk into a room and I know absolutely nobody, I'm just going to grab my drink and kind of go stand at a table and wait for somebody to come over. And that's the introvert, right? But I think it's easy to talk to people. There was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Read that book.
Ooh, yeah.
And public speaking and business writing. 3 most important things I would say in my life are how to write an email or how to formulate sentences, how to speak to people, how to interact with people, how to talk in front of people, not down to people, but try to elaborate on the point you're getting across. And so if you can do that, you can really talk to anybody. And so we've met a lot of like-minded people, like, oh yeah, we're on the same page. Let's evaluate this opportunity or that car or whatever this is, you know? And I've made more friends with you. I've made more fast friends here in the last, I would say 6 months, than 10 years of me living in Phoenix. You and your wife went to ASU. My wife went to ASU. We were living in Milwaukee and then moved there because my brother and my cousin had moved there. But the people I was friends with in Phoenix were actually friends of mine from Milwaukee whose families had winter homes out there. Yeah. And they came out and visited, and maybe they had moved there. So I was still friends with people I had basically had grown up with in some manner. Moving to Austin is the first time, and we do have family here, but I've made more what I think are true lifelong friends here in the last 6 months to a year than I've ever made in my previous, however many years.
Do you think that's because of just the way Texas is or Austin is and the people here? Or do you think it's because you finally don't have your head buried?
I don't have my head buried. I'm obviously in a position in life where we're good, but that doesn't get rid of the drive. Moving here was kind of like, okay, it's going to be like the Midwest, like Milwaukee, like Chicago, but the weather's going to be better.
Oh, God, so much better.
I wasn't expecting everybody to be so genuinely nice. Not everybody, but pretty much 99% of the people are. So all the different friend groups that we're in, no matter what struggles they're going through, like, everybody is genuinely nice. And that's great. Like, I don't know, is that an Austin thing? Is that a Texas thing?
I don't know.
Is it, you know what Arizona's like, and there's nothing wrong with Phoenix, Scottsdale area, but it was hard to make connections there. We're here, we meet people once and we've got like an instant connection.
The culture growing up, like just Texas isn't really a show-off state, right? It's not like, yes, we do things like this, but it's not as showy. Whereas like Phoenix, everything's like, look at me come up, here's the fun
Car
things.
community.
Yeah, and I feel like people are just happier for people, right? It's just ingrained. What I noticed, especially about all of our people that we're kind of associated with, is everybody's happy for everybody else's successes, their wins. Like, we like to see each other win. And I heard a saying, it was, surround yourself with friends that celebrate your successes and don't see them as showing off or whatever. And I feel like that's what I feel Austin has become now. On the real estate side of it, no, hell no, it's not.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
real estate's different.
Yeah, it's totally different. But my real estate brokerage that I'm at, like, we've cultivated that same, like, work hard, be kind. And so a lot of the people I work with, we're all celebrating our successes. That's the one thing I try to push the most. It's not about what I do success-wise, it's what the people I've brought to our brokerage that are directly tied to me, like what their success is. Because my success is my success. I find more value in taking somebody else's success and highlighting, I wasn't part of this, but they asked me some questions and I helped them.
So I feel like when I was in Scottsdale and went to Cars and Coffee, I could not have a conversation with a lot of the people that were there, either because they didn't live there, so they were just there on a weekend, or it was just their winter home, so you didn't really build a relationship.
That's good.
There are a lot of huge car collections, so they just have people that take their cars out to all these events, or there are a lot of social influencers. At least I didn't connect with the owners of the actual vehicles to discuss the car, the family, the business, right? Mm-hmm. Here, anywhere I go, and I have some older cars that are unique, they're not super like collectible classics, but they're cool cars. Wherever I go, people just walk up and ask me about it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, and then you have an instant conversation.
Yeah.
And so I do the same thing. Like, that's a cool car. Like, so what? We both have Porsches. Like, you tell me about yours, right?
Yeah.
So we have a friend in common, Luis.
Yeah.
And it was during WEC, the Exotics Network. You know, we were there for 3 days. And so on Friday, I drive down into the corral, and there's this dude in his MC20, and he's like on his phone, like doing social media stuff. And I go up and I'm like, hey, and he's like, he didn't say this, but he looked at me like, oh, are you one of my fans? And I'm like, I don't know who the hell you are. I just like your car. Tell me about your car. And he's like, really? You don't know who I am? I'm like, I have no clue who you are. I don't even care who you are. I just let's talk about cars, right? Yeah. And I didn't say it in that manner, but that was my mind frame. Like, I honestly had never met him before. I don't really, I'm on social media, but I really didn't follow people on social media. Yeah. So Luis and I met and became fast friends. Like, and we're talking about an MC20 because, you know, I might be interested in that. That was before I got the Murcielago. Might have been a better buy. And then we're walking, and so then we're talking and walking, we're walking the paddock, and then everybody's running up to this guy. Like, hey, can I take a picture with you? I'm like, who the hell are you? Like, what celebrity am I? And so I got to meet Luis because I didn't know who he was. Yeah. And he's a great guy in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's got his own story and has gone through a lot, you know, in being in the military. And, you know, I'm not going to get into his stuff. He can tell his story. But, like, we became great friends because of the cars, right? Yeah. Not because of our back. We would have never met. That was just pure happenstance that the two of us just pulled in like at the same time. And I mean, maybe he was in another car. I would have still gone up and talked to him just because we were the only two people there, right? And so that the cars have brought that out of me, right? But we've made such incredible friends. And then, like, I don't know how you came up. I think I mentioned the condos. He's like, oh, I have my friend Jeremy. And then we like FaceTime. You're like, hey, how did you two meet? Like, it's like,
it's a very small town for being a big town. Yeah, it's small.
Well, they just said it's the 4th largest city in Texas now. So, I thought Scottsdale car community was huge. There are a lot more exotics here in hidden collections. Oh, yeah. But the actual owners bring them out, and they track them, and they bring them to car shows, and that's been the weird thing to me. Like, obviously, if you have a huge collection, you have a certain amount of wealth or debt, or both.
Yeah, or both.
And, you know, the wealthy leverage their debt, so that's okay. But when you're coming out and you're bringing in a different car every week, you always have a conversation. So, and then I'm like, how did you get to this point? Like, what did you do that allows you to afford all of these, either in business, personally, strategic decisions? And that's been the great thing about it, is making those friendships, and a little bit envious, but then I see people achieve, you know, you picking up that. It's like, okay, I'm not trying to outdo you. Like, okay, what do I need to do to keep achieving, to keep growing it?
Well, I mean, the Murcielago, I would say, is a much more iconic car than that car, for sure.
Depends on your age, I guess. In our age range, yeah.
You know, we kept opening the door over there, so your Murcielago was facing my car, and I was rev the engine at your car, and apparently your car just wouldn't rev back.
Yeah,
so
it's not the movie Cars.
No, but
and that's because it's a Murcielago. It's very temperamental.
I mean, it was a bull standoff.
You should be on the Murcielago owners chat on Instagram. It is hilarious.
Oh, why is that?
Hand-built Italian automobiles that are almost 25 years old. The day it was built in the factory, you didn't know who was building it. Like, did they leave early to go drink? Did they leave early to go on lunch? Did they put a couple extra wedges in to?
Yeah.
So every single Murcielago, they're only like 3,900 built, is a unique car because it's hand built by different people.
Yeah.
Where that is, we'll say, bulletproof in a good way. They nailed that. Like, they're just solid cars, right? You don't hear of any problems with Huracans.
It's been, it's
so Porsches 911s are like surgical instruments on the track, and they're just very well built cars. Ferraris in general, even the modern ones, are well built cars, but they're pushing the bleeding edge of technology. Earlier Ferraris and earlier Lamborghinis and earlier Aston Martins, like hand built cars, like each one has its own quirkiness and issues. So when you go buy that car, you're just comparing features, right? At the end of the day, it's basically the same car with different features, maybe a little bit more horsepower and handling.
Yeah.
Porsche's the same way. On older Italian cars, man, you have no idea what you're getting into.
But like, you know, the market for those cars is constantly, I would say, appreciating, not depreciating.
Limited supply.
But the people you see driving a Murcielago or what is it, a 96 Targa? No, it's
97 Targa.
A 97 Targa, okay.
Yeah.
Like, they're not young influencers.
Some are, I have seen.
Okay, well, not...
The Murcielago, the rappers kind of,
yeah,
in the 2000s, they took those cars and did a whole lot of stereo systems and neon lights. And so there are very few in the Murcielago space that are unadulterated.
I would say I'd see them more in the Aventador space. Like, more influencers, they're either getting Aventadors, not necessarily Murcielagos. Well,
you know, so early Murcielagos were only manuals. So a lot of you can't drive them, right?
Yeah.
They don't know how to drive a manual.
I mean, that's why the e-gears such a lower.
So interestingly enough, on cars, I have a 96 Ferrari F355, which is a gated because they have the metal gate in it. Lamborghini's the same way. Spider, that was the year that they came out with the Spider. And that was also the year that Ferrari came out with their F1 transmission. So I have, prior to the 355, the F1 transmission in Ferrari didn't exist. And so therefore mine was kind of the last of the true manuals, though the 360 and the 430 after that had limited manuals, but more F1 transmissions. Now everybody's wanting to convert them back to manuals because Ferrari doesn't make a manual. With the Murcielagos, I have a 2002, so basically through 2005, they were only manuals. Then they offered the e-gear. E-gears go for less money than the manuals, and now, because people can convert them to a manual, a lot of Murcielagos are getting converted to manuals because Lamborghini doesn't make a manual anymore. So I have two of those cars. My Targa behind us is the last of the air-cooled. It is also a manual. It's not gated, but it's a traditional manual. Porsches have always had manuals. They still make manuals today, but only in their GT cars, now only in their GT3s, and those are also naturally aspirated. So I kind of fell into, all of my cars are kind of unique in what was available versus what's available now. You can't get a manual Ferrari, you can't get a manual Lamborghini. if you can convert a Ferrari or a Lamborghini to manual, I think people our age are doing those things.
Right.
The younger guys are after the McLarens and Huracans, the Aventador maybe.
Yeah.
Aventador prices have really come down now.
Yeah.
Like unbelievably. And then the newer ones, the hybrids, the wealthier guys aren't keeping them and they're losing money on them.
Yeah.
And they're going back to like a 458 Ferrari, which is naturally aspirated, because you're not dealing with turbos that can fail and you're not dealing with hybrids. So it's very kind of strange thing. So I appreciate the mechanics of cars. I appreciate the horology and watches and the complications. And I'm just not into 800 or 1,000 horsepower because
What are you going to do with that?
bad things happen, as we just saw with one of our friends in the car community a weekend ago. So not one of our friends, but I'm sure people knew him. And
People close to us knew him.
really fast cars can get out of control real easily, right? I would say my cars don't fit into that boat, so I appreciate that.
I see more accomplished, I would say all around accomplished people buying more of the cars that you have. If that makes sense. So you have younger entrepreneurs or influencers that are buying kind of like what I did, right? Where you're buying what more established people have purchased.
I'm buying what were my poster cars
100%.
when I was a struggling student.
Well, because so if you think about it, if I go to a car show or a meetup,
I did not get the other posters on my wall into my collection. Actually, I did. I have a trophy wife, so we'll go with that.
Yeah, I guess my point is that when I go to a car show and I see somebody like you, I can say, hey, what have you done? And you're going to give me a really amazing explanation of what you've done as far as like building a business. Most people driving these newer cars, they've built maybe a newer business, but they haven't seen, I would say, the level of success and gone.
And they're
through
just
the
rolling
pain.
cars, and that's okay.
And that's
Get
great.
a new car every 6 months to a year because they can.
I don't know, I love that car.
You do, but it's just a car.
It's just a car.
So,
Eileen will not let me get rid of the 911 though. She won't.
Talk about paying off debt. So my black 911 is a 2015 911 Carrera Ford GTS Cabriolet.
What year?
2015.
15.
It's 10 years old. I got it. It had just come off of a 3-year, 36-month lease. Ironically, I bought it on December 29th, 7 years ago, 2018, 7 years ago. So it was my daughter's birthday yesterday. I bought it on her 13th birthday. It has 75,000 miles on it. That car, the GTS spec, the S is pretty much similar to that, was just, it had everything that I wanted in a car. And the longer I own it, the more that I drive it, the more I love it. Like, cars are meant to be driven. I'm not afraid of high mileage cars that were driven. Miles of smiles, as they say. But a great car, like every time I go test drive newer cars and I get back in mine, I'm like, nope, naturally aspirated, 3.8 liter, flat six. The engine sound just sounds great. You asked me if I had a exhaust on it. I'm like, no, this is how it came. Like, this is how it was meant to be. So I don't even really though I do have it tuned, because now it's got 480 horsepower. Yours has turbos.
Yeah.
So you'll get yours probably into the 500 range.
Oh, that's scary.
With turbos. Yeah, but that's the great thing about Porsches, right? And then exhaust and whatnot. Get what you go after. If you don't like it, trade it up. But every time I get back into my Porsche, I'm like, I'm good. Like, I won't replace that car.
Right.
These other cars are kind of period. Now I have kind of a collection, so to speak. I don't know if I'll keep the collection. Like, I'm not married to them, right? They're not.
Yeah.
They were dream cars. I've lived that dream. Now I think I'd like the variety of adding maybe a Huracan or an MC20. And because I have the ability, let's just swap cars every 6 months or, and enjoy, like, what you can't do that really with houses. You certainly don't want to do it with wives. You can't do it with your children, though. You might want to trade your children for other children. I don't know. So that cars give you that variety, but then they also open up all those discussions and conversations and friendships.
Do you think some of those, like having some of those cars, help validate all the years of hard work and success that you've had?
They validate for me because they were on the wall, right? So whether it's a board with your numbers on it for your business or your EBITDA, or my 911 was the first car I ever paid off. So you mentioned on when you were talking about your Lambo, when I bought my GTS back in 2018, the car new was about $160,000. I got it for $90,000. It had a little ding on the Carfax on the bumper. I'm like, they take the bumper off of these cars to service them. It's not like the bumpers weren't meant to come off. So I'm okay with the ding on the Carfax. I now have 75,000 miles on it. It's probably still worth, probably not 90, but close to that. So it really hasn't lost any value in all those years, right? These cars are worth more than they were new. If you had bought them new, you'd be good. If you would have bought them 10 years ago, you'd be in a great position because of the appreciation. Your car, you paid more for it than MSRP, just like a GT3 RS.
Yeah.
Because they're that good and the demand is there for them.
I was really looking at a GT3 RS as well. And I've noticed in the last week, I was seeing a lot of those cars, like 1,500 miles for like a 24, 23, were selling right around 4 to 415, somewhere around there. The 2025s were
still like 150 more than.
Yeah. I've noticed a lot of those same 23s and 24s, and this is kind of why I waited on it too, are now in the under 375.
Yeah, and I'm not one to pay a premium for anything.
Yeah.
Right. Watches, cars, homes. Right.
Well, and that's, I mean, why I bought this one at the price I did, and is, again, I mean, I said this in the last videos, like, okay, I'm okay losing $15,000 on it, but the Ferrari I looked at, I would probably lose 40. And I'm sorry, but 25 grand is a huge, 15 is huge, but 25 grand that I could put in the next DNA or whatever.
Yeah, that's how you evaluate. So like when we were moving out here, because I was in a position to offer cash on houses, we offered, I wouldn't say ridiculous cash prices, but 2022 through last year when we bought the house, the market was declining in Austin, right? And most people that were in those homes were upside down, right? Because they bought at a height. And unfortunately for them, fortunately for me, we would go in and I'm like, here's what I'll pay for your house. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm not trying to whatever. I'm like, but this is what your house
the market's what the market is. Yeah.
But I was even offering below market. They'd be like, no, I'm going to get this. I'm like, okay. And then they come back 4-6 months later, we'll take your offer. I'm like, well, no, that offer's now gone down, right?
Yeah.
So like when I was talking to my wife, I'm like, look, if somebody takes our offer, we move. If somebody doesn't take our offer, we don't.
Right.
Somebody took one of our offers, and we ended up out here. So cars are the same way, right? You were talking about mental masturbating on the car. Good thing it's got PPF.
Inside doesn't have PPF though.
We have carbon fiber doors. So, it's like, here's what I'm going to pay for it. And if it's not, you got to walk away.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to do this investment. And if not, you got to walk away. Here's what I'm going to invest in a friendship. And if I don't get that out of it, you just got to learn to walk away. You got to learn to say no now. Yeah. Right. So I just like you, I spend a lot of time researching things before I get involved in them. And then I have a trust and a belief in them. Yeah.
Does it have a lot to do with the people involved too?
People are everything. So Cesar and Alejandro, I think, are the main reason. Their hustle is why we invested in their hustle. Mm-hmm. All the people that I met within DNA, their hustle is why I invested in that. Technology companies, what are you doing, right? That hustle. It's all about the people. Because at the end of the day, you either have to give money and not look back. Well, then just put that in the market, right? Yeah. You can't do that really with a car because you're going to drive it unless it doesn't work, right? And you also have to build relationships for cars and watches to just buy them these days. Yeah. That wasn't the case 7-8 years ago. You could just go in and buy whatever you wanted. Everything's about the people. When you're running your own business or in your family and all of that, if you can't get along with the people, then maybe it's not the right spot to be in. Yeah.
What would you say your
right, Bryce?
Oh yeah.
What would you say your biggest advice to somebody who is just trying to be an entrepreneur or striving to be an entrepreneur?
Bet on yourself and try to figure out every way of not taking money from people, because then you're indebted to them, right? So if you're going to take money, then make sure, like if it's a loan, that you're going to work hard to pay it back as quickly as you can. If you're going to take investment, then you're going to work hard so that your investors get a gain on that investment before you do. Learn to say no. If you get a bad feeling about somebody, just walk away, because you can't change people.
Yeah.
You can change business, but inherently people aren't going to change.
No.
You can try to change them, but really what that is doing is changing who you are. And while that might be good, but you shouldn't have to change in order to force something to work. So, but the main thing is just, I bet on me. And even bad business decisions, I had faith, like, we're going to recover and we're going to be fine. And that has happened. So hopefully that continues to happen. Hopefully I don't make any more bad business decisions, but such is life. You know, I think I've made questionable personal decisions in my past. I won't say in the last 22 years.
22 years, yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to be laser focused and you got to go after it, but don't rely on other people either. Like, you got to do it yourself. And if you can't do it yourself, then maybe it's not the right thing.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, man. I've taken up way too much of your time.
I don't do anything all day
I know, it's valuable time.
except give input on businesses. So
That's crazy.
hopefully they listen. I don't know.
Well, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the DNA. I appreciate the time. And
We're going to have a little tequila while we're here. Cheers.
cheers.
And I appreciate meeting you all. You too, Bryce. I didn't bag on you once.
I know. I was like, this has got to be a record.
Bryce is my man.
I actually had to pay him for that.
Oh.
And that's the show, folks. Andrew's taking his car out of here. Now, if you want to bring in a car and it be on the YouTube channel, you better reach out to me, because I want to have amazing interviews. Thanks for watching this episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. See you later, Andrew.